All right, we are continuing our Meet the Candidates interviews, and today we have the pleasure of talking with Richard Reinbold. I don't know if I should call you Judge or I don't know what to call you actually. I'll call you Richard Reinbold. How about that?
That's perfect. Thank you. Yes.
You are a candidate for Stark County Prosecutor.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why. Why are you running for office again?
Well, you have to really go back 4 years. And 4 years ago, the party chairwoman of one of our political parties asked my opponent, Kyle Stone, to put his name on the ballot for the county prosecutor's office. And at that time, Mr. Stone had really scant experience in the criminal justice system, in trying criminal cases, being involved in the system itself. But he put his name on, and he was successful. There was that wave that hit Stark County 4 years ago, and he was victorious. Be that as it may, from that win to now, he has had this opportunity to gain the experience that he so sorely lacked back 4 years ago. I don't know that he ever had more than one jury trial before he became the county prosecutor. But he has one of the outstanding criminal prosecutors in his office, Dennis Barr. And over the last 4 years, he could have sat with Dennis, tried 4 or 5 cases a year, gained the experience that's needed, gain the ability to put together a good case, learn the trade, which he never learned before. But he chose not to do so. He chose to become more, I guess, administrative. He developed an office of community outreach. Instead of putting his nose to the grindstone, instead of learning how to put a criminal case together, instead of challenging himself in front of good defense attorneys, he chose to take a backseat to that. The result is that he is still inexperienced. He still does not quite grasp the purpose of this particular office. And he has lost the confidence of a majority of the law enforcement officials in Stark County because he doesn't have the experience to deal with it. He doesn't deal with the city prosecutors. He doesn't deal with the law enforcement. This is a team effort. This is what you have to do. You got to have an organized approach to crime or you can't win. And I said to myself, Reinbold, you can either criticize and whine about it or you can do something about it. And that's when I made the decision to run.
Okay. So let's take a step back and look at your experience because you have been a prosecutor yourself, and explain to folks who may not know all of the things that you have done in Stark County.
I came to Stark County, worked with Harry Clyde in the city law department, city prosecutor's office under Bob Horowitz. And I did that for a period of 5 years, from kind of rounding numbers off 76 to 81. I then went into private practice with such notables as Scott Glenn, Sam Ferruccio. We had a private practice. In 85, Robert Horowitz was elected the county prosecutor after a stint as a special prosecutor, and he selected me as his chief of his criminal division. I did that for 5 years, and during that period of time, we instituted a number of kind of unique strategies. We tried crack house cases under conspiracy theory. I probably tried 50 jury trials, 10 capital murder cases. They're just really from A to Z. I was then appointed the municipal court judge in 1991, and I served on Canton Municipal Court from 91 to 96, where I became heavily involved in trying to restructure that county jail of ours. As you recall, during that period of time, the individuals were not serving their full sentence, and we have photographs. I remember the photographs in the rep where they prisoners, I don't want to call them inmates, were walking out of the jail way before their time was served. Yeah. People that had committed DUIs were getting dates 2 years down the road. So if I was convicted of DUI in, say, March of 1991, I didn't go to jail until 93. And of course, you know how that worked out.
Yeah.
So I worked heavily with that. We finally got it resolved with Horowitz, Randy Gonzalez, Phil Giovasas, and just a slew of other people. In 97 then, I guess in 96, I ran for common pleas judge, again following Harry Clyde's footsteps, and was a common pleas judge from 1997 until 2008. And we probably tried, on the average, each judge, and there were 5 of us, 30 to 40 cases. So we were trying 150 jury trials as you know, as our as a bench. I retired in '08, partly because Frank Frashoni thought he might run, and I didn't want to lose in a primary. So I decided that I would retire early and let the young people come up. And I've always had that theory. I did not continue to be chief of the criminal prosecutor's office because I wanted, my fellow John Anthony to rise up. You need to change every once in a while, which is a little contradictory of what I'm doing now. But and so in 2008, I retired. I did do private practice for about 2 years, and then I realized that that's a young man's game, and so I entered into what we call the visiting judge program, or sitting by assignment from the Supreme Court. So I did that from about 2010, 2011 to 2018 or 2019. Then my good friend Alan Shulman passed away, and I decided to kind of devote my full-time, part-time, because I was part-time, to kind of work with Miss Roth in that office, and have been doing a lot of civil cases since probably 2018, 2019 until now. But I'm also was asked to go to Summit County.
Summit County, I was going to ask you that.
And
yeah.
They had a backlog after the pandemic and some other reasons. They had this big civil backlog, and they asked me if I would step in, and we're called the Office of Backlog Reduction, and step in and see if we couldn't, get these cases moving, get them resolved. And it's been fairly successful. I have a bright young man, Bill Reiniger, who's the magistrate now. I was, but I had to resign and run for this office. Doug Gottschall, which is a name everybody knows in Stark County, is part of the team. And we were so successful, they renewed the grant. And so that's going to go. Hopefully I won't be part of it next year. But so that's kind of a capsule of my experience.
Yeah. Do you see things being different in the office of prosecutor than it was when you were there, even when you were a judge? I mean, how will it be different for you, do you think?
Well, the one thing that we learned as we grew as an office was a program called, I call it early indictment, but it's direct indictment. And it is a program that almost every prosecutor's office in the state follows. Summit County has one of the outstanding programs. And what the basis of it is that when a serious felony crime is committed, the prosecutor's office is immediately notified and becomes involved in not only at the scene of the crime, but in assisting police officers in gathering evidence, getting search warrants, and those kinds of things. You then make the decision to take that case directly to the grand jury rather than have it wind its way through the preliminary hearing stages, which often delays the case being presented to grand jury by 2 to 3 weeks. So it is a program that expedites the criminal through the system. It allows the county prosecutor to be on the ground floor along with help from the city prosecutor. And it's an organized approach to fighting crime. They don't have that now. I know Mr. Stone will say he does direct indictments, but he does it on a daily basis. He does it on an ad hoc basis. He wakes up one morning and says, maybe I'll take this case, maybe I won't. You can't approach criminal justice. You can't approach enforcement by ad hoc. You have to have an organized plan. I'm going to have a team that's going to respond to the felony. I'm going to have a team that is called the direct indictment team, a police officer, city prosecutor, county prosecutor. We're going to review those cases immediately, and when it's time, we'll present them to the grand jury. That means we take control. The county prosecutor, Mr. Stone's theory is, Let the city do your homework, and then we'll take the case. That's not the way you run a business. You solve a problem when the problem arises, correct? You don't wait 2 weeks for it. And so that's what I'm going to change. That's what we need to do. And we learned that as we came up in the prosecutor's office. You got to be ready to do some different things, and I'm ready to do.
All right. So the folks that are watching right now, listening to you, why should they vote for you in encapsulated form?
Encapsulated form. I guess it goes back to my experience. As I said, I've been a trial lawyer or a trial judge for 50 years. I hate to say that word, but 50 years. There's not a criminal case I haven't tried. I've tried high-level civil cases. I've tried federal cases where excessive force was alleged against Canton police officers. I don't think anybody, to be humble, in the state can touch my experience in the courtroom. But I also I was in the United States Army. My father was a United States Air Force officer. I've been trained by him. I've been trained by officers from Fort Benning, Georgia. I've been trained by some of the best trial judges in Stark County. Nobody's ever been chewed out until they were chewed out by Judge Milot, a former Marine. I've had that experience. So I know what hard work is. I know what you have to do to be successful. I've proven it for 50 years. This is the safety of the community. This is taking hard cases and going forward with it. This office matters more than any other office. And you need somebody like myself that is experienced, dedicated, and tested that can run this office and make it the pride of the state of Ohio.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.